So, you think you could take on a Knights Templar? Think again, because what you're about to face isn't just a man with a sword. It's the product of centuries of training, unbreakable discipline, and sheer human will. Now imagine this. You wake up in medieval England. The air is cold. Your boots sink into the mud beneath your feet. Across the field, a man steps forward. White cloak, red cross, steel from head to toe. This isn't a movie. There's no second chance. Be honest, how long do you think you would last? Because the man standing in front of you could march 20 miles a day and swim across rivers in full armor. And that wasn't the battlefield. That was training. Because the Knights Templar weren't born fully armored killing machines. Most began as children, serving as pages in noble households or monastic schools. At just 7 years old, they learned prayer, obedience, horsemanship, and the basics of combat. Not glory, not battle, discipline. By 14, they became squires, and this is where the real test began. Swordsmanship, lance fighting, archery, battlefield tactics. They marched mile after mile in heavy armor, practiced sword drills for hours each day, until exhaustion was no longer an excuse. Most people would quit here. And this is where most people get it wrong about the Templars. Because if they survived, they became knights. But even then, the training never stopped. Every single day, combat drills, horsemanship, endurance, not to win tournaments, not for fame, but until their very bodies became weapons. This wasn't preparation for war. This was a way of life. Templars weren't just strong, they were the Olympians of their age. Imagine swinging heavy steel for hours while wearing 30 kilograms of chainmail and padding. They could fight for hours, ride for miles, and still charge into battle at full speed. And here's the crazy part. They even trained to swim across rivers, fully armored. Yes, swimming in 30 kilos of steel. Try that once. Now imagine doing it as part of your training. Templars weren't just fit. They performed feats that would be legendary even today. They broke enemy lines with cavalry charges that shook the earth like thunder. They survived sieges that lasted months, enduring hunger, disease, and constant attack. They wielded massive weapons that most of us couldn't even lift, for hours, with deadly accuracy. These weren't accidents. This wasn't luck. This was the result of elite training, discipline, and conditioning beyond imagination. But strength alone didn't make them unstoppable. Their greatest weapon was their mind. Daily prayer, fasting, meditation. They were trained to master fear, to embrace pain, to march into death itself without hesitation. To a Templar, death in battle was not the end. It was the ultimate victory. And when all of this came together, the battlefield trembled. A Templar could charge headlong into volleys of arrows and not break formation. He could fight for hours when others collapsed. He could survive starvation, heat, and cold while never surrendering. So the next time you imagine taking on a Knight Templar, remember this. You're not just facing a man, you're facing someone trained from childhood. Someone whose strength, endurance, and agility rival today's elite athletes. Someone whose mind is sharpened like a blade. Someone capable of extraordinary feats, even under the harshest conditions. You wouldn't just be fighting a man, you'd be fighting centuries of faith, steel, and unbreakable will. So ask yourself, one day, 1 hour, or not even the training? Knight Templars weren't legends because they wore armor or carried swords. They were legends because they pushed human potential to its absolute limits. Body, mind, and soul. So the next time you think you could take one on, remember, some battles are better left unwaged. The Knights Templar mastered strength through discipline and steel. But centuries later, in the mountains of Nepal, Another kind of warrior would force an empire to learn respect. Next time, the Gurkhas.